If you go up to the front of the line at some exclusive venue, and you're like this, me now? Me now? They're generally gonna be like, nah, dude, bottles tonight. Nah, $500. They're gonna try to extort money out of you. You want to be in that line looking as though you don't even realize you're in the frickin' line. Like you're just sitting there chatting with your friend. They will let you in. I was in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and there was a situation. There was like this brand new place that had recently opened or something, or it was the hot new place. It's called Pizza Wine Disco. And so I go up to the front of the line with one of the clients, this older gentleman. It's fucking snowing. We're at the front of the line. The guys are like, "You two guys?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh no, only reservations tonight. We cut it off. We already cut it off." I'm like, "Dude, it's 10:15. He's like, "Yeah, we cut it off." And the guy's like, "Oh, what if I made it worth it?" I'm like, "Look, man, I just got in from California. I didn't have time to get on the list. I love this place, man. Every time I come to Toronto, I come here, man." He's like, "Look, dude, come on, man. I got my hair did. I got my nails done." And then the one guy laughs when I say it. He's like, "Fine, go in." Turns out the place had only been open 2 months. I'm like, I come here every time I'm in fucking Toronto. It's like, no, you don't. It wasn't open 2 months ago. But again, if you're able to crack jokes, stay loose, act like you belong in the place. So these are the kind of individuals that I want to be around, somebody who's in the environment, who's enjoying themselves already. Look at every interaction that you have with somebody you meet through the following lens, okay? Am I A, seeing people enjoying themselves and then attempting to insert myself into their fun? That's option A. I'm like, "Excuse me, can I join the fun?" In fact, if you said it like that, it'd probably work. "Excuse me, ladies, can I join the fun?" Like, right? Probably work. I mean, I can say all kinds of insane things and have it work because number one, there's self-awareness. Remember, social errors only count if you are unaware of them. It's an interesting thing, right? Social errors only count if you are unaware of them, if you're oblivious. If you're oblivious, it sucks. If it's clear that you're committing this error for the express purpose of generating some sort of effect, and then you call yourself out on it, it magically makes it okay. So for example, you know, a lot of times I always tell people, when you're gonna approach somebody, approach them from the front. They need to see you coming before they hear your voice, so you don't startle people. You're like, "Oh, what the fuck, Jesus Christ," like, hey, right? So you never want to approach from behind. If I was standing behind anyone in here, like lurking behind you and like whispering in your ear, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like that. Now, if you're doing it to someone else in the club, they're not going to like it either. So, but sometimes you have to. What would be a situation where you'd have to? They're standing at the bar. You can't get in. They're standing at the bar. You can't get in next to them. You have to open them from behind. You have to introduce yourself from behind. If you do that, so I'll do that if I have to, and then if I manage to get past that kind of hook point where they believe, okay, this person's cool, let's keep talking to him, at that point I'll be like, "You know what? I feel like I'm kind of this weird, like, lurking presence behind you. Can you actually turn around? It's fucking weird." Like, "Oh, he gets it." Okay, and then they'll just turn around. Or for example, let's say they're sitting down and there's not any seats there. I'll kind of be like this for a while. You certainly don't want to do this. The crouch. The umpire's crouch when you're calling pitches. It's like, so, you know, you'll open them from here, start talking to him from here. If you get to the point where like, okay, this guy's pretty cool, I'll be like, "You know what? I feel like I'm this weird looming presence hovering over you. Here, scoot over." And then sit down. Okay, he gets it. Or if I make some sort of, I don't know, risque comment. Sorry, I'll say, "Sorry, I don't get out of the house much. I've kind of forgotten how to comport myself in public." Or I'll say like, "You know, believe it or not, I do hear myself talking. I hear the words coming out of my mouth. I'm like, damn, what did you just say, Jeff? Smooth, bro. Note to self, use that again." And that like will magically make it okay. They're like, okay, he gets it. It's like, I get it. It's tongue in cheek. You know, another thing I used to say, people ask my name. I'm like Jeffrey Allen. It sounds like a fake white person's name. It sounds like a made up white person's name. Jeffrey Lewis Allen. I never get stopped at the airport. I could have a bomb, a knife, they let me right in. But now, what I've been saying recently, I'm like, "Yeah, my name's Jeffrey." You know, there's not a lot of good Jeffreys in the culture these days. If you think about it, there's not a lot. You know, we got the Netflix fellow the cannibalistic serial murderer, Jeffrey Dahmer. I swear to God, I've never murdered anybody. I've never been murdered myself. I can't really speak intelligently about it. But I promise I'm not going to drill a hole in your skull and pour sulfuric acid in and make you my zombified sex slave. Unless you're into that. I'm not here to kink shame. All right? Some people dig that shit. Who else we got? We got Master Epstein, of course. Gone too soon. Gone too soon. Like, gone too soon? I'm like, yeah, before he could inform on his criminal co-conspirators, of course. Telling somebody that you're going to drill a hole in their skull and make them your zombified sex slave, this would probably be something that most people would think would get a bad reaction, right? Believe it or not, it tends to get a fairly, people laugh at that shit because you can tell it's very tongue-in-cheek. And then here's another thing. I am continually, in case you were not able to notice, when I speak, I can just speak and riff forever. No matter what the hell they say, I can just continue to riff and speak on that topic and have what the words coming out of my mouth be somewhat relevant and work in the actual conversation to an extent. Here's another thing. I don't even necessarily care if it's good. Because remember, we talked about this the other day. The reason that most people can't think of things to say is because when you have an intuitive impulse of something to say, the intellect says, I need to evaluate this first for potential usefulness or threat. Will this make me appear silly or stupid or weird or goofy or aggressive or pushy or whatever the case may be? So it needs to take a moment and kind of assess to make that determination before it allows that thought access to the face, voice, and body. For me, I really don't have much of a filter there because I understand that the content is merely a vehicle for the vibe. The content is a vehicle for the vibe. Now, if the content is good and funny and relevant and valid and true and all that stuff, that's great. And for me, usually it is. You know why? I got fucking bars, okay? I can talk. I got turns of phrase, witticisms, bon mots. I'm like Oscar motherfucking Wilde out there, okay? However, that's fine. The content is a vehicle for the vibe. If the content's funny, so be it, even better. The more that you go out, the more that you interact with people, you'll start to see what we might call invisible threads form. Now look, what does that mean? In an interaction, in a conversation, there's an infinite number of things that people could say, right? Infinite number of things within the confines of the English language or whatever language you're speaking. You could put those things together in an infinite, you don't know what the hell is going to come out of somebody's mouth. However, within that infinity, there's a finite range of things that people usually do say, particularly in certain conventions of certain types of interactions. I know if I go out, because I've approached 30,000 people, I've introduced myself to 30,000 people conservatively over the past 20 years, so I know that what's going to happen is if I say this, they could say anything, but they're probably going to say this, or this. Some variant on one of those 5 things. No matter which one of those, let's say they say B. I already have 5 different things teed up that I could retort with, each one imparting a different emotional tenor to the interaction depending on which way I want to take it. So again, you get a lot more facility, you get a lot more maneuverability, and then once you know all of those things, then you can start to add flourishes and personal stylistic things and improvise and connect things in different ways. And the net effect of that, so if you combine that sort of, you know, for lack of a better term, that sort of dialogue tree, if you combine knowledge of that with an ability to improvise and allow free-flowing access to intuitive energies and just, boom, say whatever without much interference. Like I said, the mind can be a bridge or a barrier between inner and outer. So again, I understand the waypoints of these types of conventions. I know how to move them through these things. I know what happens when various things pop up and present various, situations present themselves because I've been there before. So basically what I'm trying to say to you here is when you go out, the focus should primarily be on enjoying yourself and then going up to those individuals that you want to introduce yourself to and meet and kind of putting yourself in that middle space and inviting them to meet you in the middle to enjoy those feelings that you're experiencing. Not trying to go up and again, weasel your way into their party.